Okay, so I really want to discuss one of the best mangas I have read in quite a while. It's perhaps one of my favorite. I really hope it gets animated. It's none other than Kaiju number 8. Just hit 50 chapters a day. Let's talk about it. So yeah. Me, Alexizz, back for another video. So I really want to discuss Kaiju number 8. I'm just gonna get straightforward into this video because there's a lot I really want to talk about. Since today marks the official 50th chapter, and wow, I can't believe I've been following this series for about a year and a half, since like chapter 10 dropped back in like, I don't know, August of 2020. To me, this is actually one of those series I try to recommend to people when they ask me, hey, what manga should I get into, like Shounen type. I generally try to recommend them this manga in particular because it's actually easy to catch on and to follow. Because for me, I got instantly hooked onto it around chapter 10 when it dropped, because I actually ended up hearing about this manga through a video on TikTok. And the premise of this is not too difficult, not too complex, and it's not too different from any shonen manga or shonen anime. Basically, the premise is similar to like Attack on Titan, a world full of titans, but instead of titans, you have kaijus. Kaijus are giant monsters. And think of this series like Attack on Titan X Pacific Rim, and put those two together with like future tech, and you get, boom, this beautiful bad boy of a series. So unlike most typical shonen manga where you follow the protagonist who's a young kid who has these special abilities, who's like the chosen one, has to save the world, this story puts a little twist on it, which I actually found surprising, and I actually quite like it, because instead of the young kid, young adolescent male that has to save the world, you follow this dude in his like mid to late, in his late 30s, that has to save the world. And it's pretty fascinating because we follow the main character, Kafka Hibino. There's this one dude, he's basically a boomer. He hasn't done much with his life, and his main goal in life has always been to join the elite class known as the Japanese Self-Defense Force Unit, which combats kaijus in this world as they're a threat. And he's always wanted to join it since he was a kid, since he made a promise with his friend, but he was never able to join it until one day he gets attacked by a kaiju, and he gains the ability to transform into a kaiju. And from then on, he learns to use his powers, and he gets to combat other kaijus, and he meets a lot of people along the way, one of which is my favorite characters in this, well, one of my favorite characters in this series, Kikoro Shinomiya, or Shinomiya. She's this cool, she's like best waifu in this series. She's this cool badass girl in this series. She wields a freaking battle axe, and she's pretty cool. Like, look at this, she's wielding a big battle axe. You can't tell me that isn't cool. Well, her character, pretty interesting. I really like her backstory. The main thing I really like about Kaiju number 8 is how well developed it focuses its characters. It reminds me a lot of Black Clover, as Black Clover tends to develop its side characters pretty well. Similar to that series, which focuses some chapters or dedicates some chapters to its side characters, Kaiju number 8 actually does a really well job of focusing on its side characters and giving them backgrounds, their motivations, their explanations. It does a phenomenal job at that, which is what I really love about this series, because I find something to like in each character. I find a way to care about each character, like Kikoro Shinomiya. She's pretty cool. You find out about her backstory. She's only doing this self-defense force unit because it was her mother's last wish for her to do it, and she did not want to disappoint her or her father, who is currently the head of the self-defense unit, well, one of the heads of the commanding army of the defense force unit. Wow, that's a mouthful to say. But yeah, and one of the other characters that's personally one of my favorite has got to be Vice Captain Soshiro. This dude right here in the cover, he's such a badass. So think of him like Levi, but like a little bit more experienced and uses these powerful sword techniques similar to the Demon Slayer, how the Hashira have their breathing forms. This dude has like his own sword fighting techniques that he learned when he was a kid. He's probably the best swordsman in this world. He's so OP as he was able to take down Kafka in his monster form with ease, while Kafka was like in his 50% state. I don't know, this dude is just amazing. This series I really find things interesting because the side characters are interesting. Each one of these side characters could honestly be the main character of the series. That's how well written it is. It kind of has its problems though, in my opinion, as it releases every 2 weeks. So 1 week we'll get a story, another week we'll get a story, then we'll get like some art for it, then we'll get a chapter for it, and then a couple weeks later we might. So it's like bi-weekly or tri-weekly, if that's even a thing. That's the one thing I dislike about this series. If it was a bit more consistent with releasing, I think it would be a little bit more popular with people here in America, as not a lot of people actually tend to talk about it. At least the people I've talked to have never really read Kaiju No. 8. It's actually pretty popular in France, so like France has all of the volumes. They have all 5 volumes in French. The Japanese have all of the volumes because it's made in Japan. And I'm kind of jealous because I really wish here in America we had like English translation volumes, but we don't. We have 0, which is kind of a shame because it's a really slept on series just because not too many people know about it. It's actually a fantastic series. It's pretty short. At least this is the Japanese version. It's pretty tiny. So the Japanese manga's pretty small. This is like $7. I got it from Kinokuniya. It's a Japanese bookstore. I got this when I was in New York. Overall, this series is pretty amazing. The power scaling in this series is not too difficult to comprehend because the main character is Kafka and the manga is called Kaiju No. 8. So in this world, monsters are ranked by how dangerous of a threat level they are, and he's classified as the 8th most dangerous. So as the story progresses, you find out who's most dangerous and the classification of each monster. So currently the 3rd strongest monster or 3rd strongest kaiju is I might mess up the name, Isayo Shinomiya, which is Kikuro Shinomiya's father, as he possesses the power of Kaiju No. 3. I think it was Kaiju No. 3 or Kaiju No. 2. Can't remember off the top of my head. But chapter 50 is shop. Go read it. It's pretty OP. I cannot wait for the final battle of that conclusion to start. I think it's just starting, but yeah, some of the other characters like Gen Kurumi, he has like the Sharingan ability of one of the Kaiju monster number 5. Like, I don't know, it gets insane describing the abilities of each of these characters, as the self-defense unit is made of like OP characters. And like the suits, I really want to talk about the suits because the suits are just so badass. The suits, they have a mode to them. 100% is never unleashed because depending on how the user battles, they're able to release like 100% of the suits weapons. Kafka is like at 0%. He can barely use like probably 2% of the suit since he's kind of weak. Some of the other characters like Shinomiya, she uses probably like 20% of the combat suit. Gen Kurumi, the dude I was telling you with the like Sharingan like ability, I believe he uses like 50% of the suit's abilities. And the vice captain over here, he uses nearly like 80 to like 60% of the combat suit, and the suits provide them with enough power to combat against the kaijus as they're designed to combat against them. And wow, the power scaling is just so interesting. This world is so phenomenal because I really like the world building. Specifically right now they're like focused in Japan. They do mention a little bit of some of the rest of the world, but maybe we'll get a little bit more of the world building later on as the story progresses. But that's currently what 50 chapters looks like. And that's all I really want to discuss about Kaiju No. 8. Why you should read it, because the side characters overall are amazing. The story itself is pretty good. The artwork amazing, top notch. It's kind of, if you like Black Clover, you might like this, because I kind of compared to Black Clover because it's kind of like that. If that's not your taste, then don't read it. But if you like Attack on Titan, if you ever seen Pacific Rim, I highly recommend you go check out this manga. It's really amazing. And throughout this video, some of you are probably wondering what's on his arm. So as you can see right here, I actually have this. Well, not this exact image. I think it's the exact. Wait, it is the exact image. Yeah, it is the exact image. So I have this one. Well, I don't think it's the exact image, but I have a Kafka or Kaiju No. 8 tattooed on my arm, because like around chapter 30, chapter 25, back in March, I decided to get a Kaiju No. 8 tattoo. I actually went through with it, and it's by far one of my favorite tattoos. This thing right here, this is the artwork I got. I love this series so much. I will continue to praise it, and I can't wait for the rest of the story. So this is 50 chapters. I highly recommend reading this series, and I actually am planning on doing a Kaiju No. 8 costume for some anime conventions I plan to attend to next year. Specifically, I'm going to be doing the Vice Captain Soshiro, and I'm really looking forward to getting that costume made as soon as I have the money for it, because I don't really have the money for it. It's kind of expensive. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this manga video. I'll probably do similar videos on stuff I want to talk about, but overall, Kaiju No. 8's an amazing series. Go check it out. Let me know if you guys have actually read it and what you think of it. But before I leave, I just want to show you this cool fan art. I had the same artist who designed this shirt do, because you guys actually will like it. So I got this like cool fan art of me and my friend like self-defense force unit suits. It's pretty cool. I really like this artwork. My friend Ness. Then that's me when I had pink hair, and like, looks pretty cool.